It's not likely that I'll do another video like this again, unless another FNAF movie comes out. Well, well, welly, well, well, well. How the turntables.
Welcome back.
Hello to the few people who watched my last video, and welcome back to... Wait a second. This doesn't look right. Hold on, give me a second, let me just... And there we go. Like the new setup? I was originally going to use this to stream, but I haven't had the time, or energy, or motivation to stream yet, so I might as well use it for something else. This video is going to be a bit more disjointed than the first one, since I don't want to repeat myself on things I've already said in my last Five Nights at Freddy's video. So if you haven't already watched that video, what are you doing here? You will get completely lost if you haven't already watched it, especially if the movies are your first introduction to the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Go back, watch that video, and return when you're ready. Don't worry, I can wait. Got all that stuff in your noggin? Good. Which means I can tell another reason that this video is going to be less organized. And that's because, while the first movie was just a small diversion from canon here and there, the second movie cements that the movies are on a completely different timeline for both the games and the books. Not only that, but a good chunk of the movie is dedicated to the interpersonal drama between characters, and it has less of a focus on the animatronics themselves until the second half of the movie. I thought about making an entire segment where I criticize the movie, but instead, I'm not going to do that and do my actual job. With that being said, a huge spoiler warning for any Five Nights at Freddy's related material, the books, games, movies, etc, etc, etc. And a content warning for discussions of blood, death, gore, body horror, violence towards children, as well as just violence in general. There will also be a lot of sudden, loud noises and scary imagery. This is a horror movie after all. With all that out of the way, settle down, get comfy, and grab a plushie because we're in for a crazy night. Fun fact, the two arcade cabinets closest to the camera are references to Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. When the first game came out, a lot of fan games followed suit, and are still being made to this day. The one with the blue cat is Candy from Five Nights at Candy's by Emil Mako, while the weasel next to it is from Pop Goes by Kane Carter. It's nothing that important, but it's a nice little nod towards the community that made these games popular. Alright, so in the original FNAF 2 game, there is no moat and there are no puppetlings. And aside from an additional fear factor, I don't know why they exist. This scene actually corroborates the theory and timeline that the child disappearances actually started in FNAF 2, as we can hear from the phone guy's messages.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it.
Since we know something as little as condensation can cause the spring locks to malfunction, I don't know why William thought it was a good idea to wash his hands in it, but apparently it can survive gunshots and tasers but not deadly cupcakes, so what do I know? And this is where the timelines split. This wasn't how Charlie died in the games. In both Pizzeria Simulator and a FNAF 2 minigame, she gets stranded outside of the restaurant, and that's where William takes her life. And only then does the marionette arrive when it's too late. Not only that, but in the games, other kids seem to have bullied her, while in the movie, she was angrier at the adults who didn't listen to her. A point I'll touch on later. In the game, this wasn't how the original location shut down. We don't know the exact reasons as to why it shut down, but if you make it through the 6th night, you get another check with a newspaper clipping behind it, where we can read that the toy animatronics were scrapped due to malfunctions. Although we don't know what these mysterious malfunctions are, thanks to Jeremy's check, we know that the game is set in 1987, and the only reason the date is important is due to a message the phone guys leaves in the first game.
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day, too. But then there was the fight of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
Which brings up another point that the flashback is set in 1982, while the game is set in 1987. Could this be the possible date for when Charlie died in the games? I don't know. From this point, it's going to be difficult to cross-reference anything from the games to the movie.
Abby, the Amityville Horror, the Abster, word up.
Jeremy, or Jeremiah in this case, was the character you played as in the second game. We know this because if you manage to survive all 5 nights, you get a check signed to a Jeremy Fitzgerald. So, while he unfortunately doesn't have a major role in the movies, he still plays a part as Mike's friend.
Pretty fast-paced pizza. I used to come here when I was a kid.
Not this one. He didn't. You're thinking of the franchise location. This is the original. Oh, he's been here for decades. This location came before the other one.
What the Ghost Hunter is saying is technically correct, at least when it comes to the Fazbear brand. There's another location that came before this one called Fredbear's Family Diner. The incident happened in 1983, but the flashback took place in 1982, god damn it! Okay, maybe both locations existed at the same time at one point. But that just leaves the motivations for why William did the things he did all out of whack. Did he kill kids just because at this point? Sorry, I got off topic.
Sorry, you startled us. You must be Mike.
It's Michael, actually.
So this is Michael Afton, one of William's kids alongside Evan, Elizabeth, and, I guess in the movie's canon, Vanessa. You will understand my frustrations with his characterization further down the line. This is gonna happen a lot.
Yeah. The marionette truly was one of a kind. What's the marionette?
The marionette would come out of this trap door on the stage and direct the other animatronics during performances.
That's right. Using a wireless signal. The technology was way ahead of its time.
This is not the explanations as to why the animatronics are aggressive in the game. According to one of the phone guy's messages,
Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office.
now this could just be a flimsy excuse for the real reason why the animatronics were actually aggressive, but none of us would have known that before this movie because it was never implied anywhere. The puppet had no super Bluetooth in the game, so most of us chalked it all up to faulty programming. Maybe the puppet was controlling all of them through possession, but like I said, nowhere in the game did it imply that the children could possess more than one robot.
Whoa.
They look brand new. Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica.
In the newspaper clipping that I showed earlier, it explained that the toy animatronics would be scrapped. Now, I stupidly assumed that this meant scavenged for parts, but apparently that just meant that the place would be abandoned and the robots would be kept perfectly intact. Aside from Foxy, obviously. Seems like a big waste of money to me, but what do I know?
What about Foxy?
Foxy was involved in a failed, take-apart, put-back-together attraction and was never quite the same again.
Foxy, or what the fans usually refer to it as, Mangle, had a similar backstory, but it was more like because the kids kept taking it apart that it became a take-apart, put-back-together attraction. Not that Foxy was specifically designed with that idea in mind.
But kids these days just can't keep their hands to themselves. The staff literally had to put Foxy back together at the end of every shift. Eventually they just stopped trying and left him as some kind of take apart, put back together attraction. Now he's just a mess of parts. I think the employees refer to him as just the mangle.
In the second game, the puppet actually had a whole room to itself called the Prize Corner. It wasn't just restricted to the underground stage like it was here. In the game, you could keep the puppet in its box by winding up the music box, and it would also play the same tune that it does here, called My Grandfather's Clock. If you fail to wind up the music box, then it's a definite game over, as the puppet will come out of its box and make a beeline to your office. Never in the games is it even implied that the ghost children can possess anything other than the animatronic bodies they were trapped in. Maybe it happens in the books, I don't know, does it look like I read? I think this was just to amp up the fear factor and to eventually move the plot along. This is Circus Baby, one of the animatronics and sister location in a big old monkey wrench in this movie's timeline. So, somewhere along the timeline of the Fazbear brand, William Afton decided to create his own animatronics instead of having it be a collaboration between him and his business partner. These animatronics were called the Funtime animatronics, and they were going to debut at a restaurant called Circus Baby's Pizza World, but a horrible incident happened that caused the place to shut down before it could even open its doors. So, Mr. Afton, in all his infinite wisdom, designed the robots to have the capacity to kidnap/kill children so that he could run experiments on them. How we know this is through a rare Easter egg you can find while either booting up the game or traveling through rooms. Sometimes these blueprints will pop up, giving details on specific functions the animatronics have. Specifically, Funtime Foxy's parental voice sync and Funtime Freddy's parental tracking, voice mimicry, and storage tank. We can even see what looks like to be a child trapped in his stomach hatch. Terrifying stuff, but what about Circus Baby? Well, even it's not detailed in her blueprints, she also has a storage tank where she dispenses ice cream, but she's only ever done it once.
Did you know that I was on stage once? It wasn't for very long, only one day. What a wonderful day, though. I was in a small room with balloons and a few tables. No one sat at the tables, though, but children would run in and out. I would always count the children. I'm not sure why. I was always acutely aware of how many there were in the room with me. I can do something special. Did you know that? I can make ice cream. Although I only did it once. There were 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Something happened when there was 1. A little girl, standing by herself. I was no longer myself, and I stopped singing. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. I couldn't move, at least, not until she stepped closer. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment. Then other children rushed in again, but they couldn't hear her over the sounds of their own excitement. I still hear her sometimes. Why did that happen?
The girl who ended up in her stomach hatch was Elizabeth Afton, William's daughter.
Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? Daddy, you let the other children go see her. Why won't you let me go? Daddy, just once let me go play with her. She's so pretty and shiny. Didn't you make her just for me? Daddy isn't watching. Don't tell Daddy that I'm here. I wanted to watch a show too. I don't know why he won't let me come see you. You're wonderful. Where did the other children go?
So you might be thinking, well, obviously Vanessa takes Elizabeth's role in the story, but that can't be the case since Circus Baby's eyes are green in the movie. What does that have to do with anything? In Sister Location, you can get a special minigame after dying a few times or clicking the sprite in the extras menu. In the minigame, Circus Baby's eyes are noticeably blue. This was how she looked before the incident. After playing the minigame correctly, you are given ice cream, which you can take all the way back to the beginning of the game, where you dispense it. Only then do we get to see what Elizabeth looked like, a girl with green eyes. Only then can we truly piece together the whole story. All of this is to say that if Vanessa was supposed to replace Elizabeth in the story, Circus Baby's eyes would have been blue, but she doesn't. They're green. So that means William somehow had 4 kids. 2 of them were just never mentioned, and Elizabeth already became Circus Baby while Vanessa was still just a kid. Or in this timeline, Circus Baby's eyes were always green? But then again, this is a dream sequence, so maybe the timelines are all jumbled up on purpose. God, this is a mess.
I'm out of the box. But you still have me trapped here. Somehow.
It's called a perimeter lock. None of the animatronics can leave. Not even you.
The animatronics haven't exactly been built with a perimeter lock until later games like Security Breach.
Freddy, it's open, let's go!
No, I cannot exit this facility.
Of course you can! Come on! We can hide you somewhere!
Without a recharge station, my systems would shut down within an hour. It is a safety precaution. It is my design.
More so, the older animatronics had a map of the rooms within the pizzeria programmed into their system, and they could not breach hidden rooms or walk outside of said perimeter.
Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed into the animatronic or security system. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
This voice line is a little reference to one of Puppet's voice lines in Ultimate Custom Night.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
There is a secret code that will let me come with you.
This setup is really accurate to how it looked in the second game. Everything from the vents on either side to the lack of doors to keep the animatronics out. As much as we can harp on this movie, at least we can admit that the set design is really good.
Get out of this cab right now. Oh my goodness!
Oh, Chica, you, dropped this.
Thank you, Abby.
Toy Chica's beak actually comes off within the game. The main reason as to why is that Scott didn't think she looked scary enough, which, you know, I can see that.
You know, I wasn't the best father. I was obsessed by my work when I was younger, and it eventually cost me everything, including my little girl.
This is Henry Emily, Charlie's father and William Afton's business partner. Of course, you wouldn't know a lot of these names unless you read the Silver Eyes trilogy. Even though the stories differ from each piece of media, all of the lower implications and details seem to interweave or contradict one another in one f***ed up tapestry.
Wait. I made this music box for Charlotte when she was just a baby. The music had helped her sleep. I know this might sound crazy, but if you go back there, would you leave it for her?
Exhibit A. Before this movie, I always thought that the music box mechanic with the puppet was a play on the Jack in the Box. But this small scene recontextualizes it to a much sadder degree, and it makes what happened with Lefty even more upsetting. You see, Lefty was made specifically to catch the puppet. You even have an audio lure in its microphone, which seemingly played the same song. These are the withered animatronics. They are also in the second game and come out during later nights to add more pressure to the player. Although they're not prototypes like they are in the movie, they actually belong to a previous location, which many suspect to be Fredbear's.
By now I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology. But they were just so ugly, you know? And the smell. So the company decided to just go in a whole new direction and make them super kid-friendly.
And if you bring up Secret of the Mimic, I am going to slap you!
Charlotte.
After she was killed, I would sometimes still see her here. She seemed stuck in the last emotion before she died. Rage.
One thing that leaves me conflicted about this movie is how Charlie seems a lot more antagonistic than she was in the games. You can argue that all the children were antagonistic because they kept trying to kill you every night. But to be fair, they didn't know what their killer looked like. And all they knew is that it was an adult, which made every adult they encountered a target. But Charlotte herself already seemed more like a caring force, at least towards the other children. She was the reason they were given a second chance at life after all. Not only that, but voice lines in both Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night imply that she at least cared for the other kids.
The others are under my protection.
My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter.
So her being the ultimate driving force for this movie kind of baffled me.
Dude, that costume is legendary. I don't know. Seems kind of fake to me.
Don't be rude.
What? I mean, it just looks like a toy is all.
This is a small reference to the fact that these animatronics are often called the toy animatronics, mostly to keep a distinction between all the variations of said robots. I actually didn't notice this the first time I watched this movie in theaters. That's Shadow Bonnie, an Easter egg in FNAF 2 that had literally 1 in a million chance of spawning in a player's office. Needless to say, Mike's a lucky man. Also, those little laughs and giggles are coming from Balloon Boy. He often makes those while he's running around the place in-game.
Hi. Hello.
So, the withered animatronics are also retrofitted with the same facial recognition technology. To counteract this, you are given a spare Freddy head to mess with their facial scanners.
And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without a costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved. You can put it on any time and leave it on for as long as you want. Eventually anything that wandered in will wander back out.
Balloon Boy doesn't do this in-game, but to explain what he actually does, I'm gonna have to give you a bit of background on how the second game works. In FNAF 2, you are given 4 tools at your disposal. The music box, the Freddy head, the camera tablet, and a flashlight. The flashlight is the only tool that has a battery, and not only can it light up certain rooms, but it can also keep certain animatronics at bay by repeatedly flashbanging them. However, if Balloon Boy ever makes it into your room, he disables it, causing you unable to hold back those robots any further. So in the second game, one of the few animatronics that the Freddy disguise will not work on is Withered Foxy. Hence why the flashlight is important, as repeatedly flashing him in the hallway makes him retreat.
Oh yeah, Foxy. Hey listen, that one was always a bit twitchy. I'm not sure if the Freddy head trick will work on Foxy. If for some reason he activates during the night, and you see him standing at the far end of the hall, just flash your light at him from time to time. Those older models would always get disoriented with bright lights. It would cause a system restart or something.
Hi, sis. Michael. So what the hell's going on? Oh, let me guess. She never told you about me. That's my sister for you. She always was a little selective with the truth. I'm Michael. Michael Afton. I am so pleased to finally meet you. Leave them alone, Michael. They haven't done anything wrong. I think our father might strongly disagree with that. Your father's dead.
Yeah. But I'm here to continue his legacy.
This is not at all how Michael Afton acted in the games. Except when he was a kid, as he shoved his brother's head into an animatronic's mouth and accidentally killed him. But he seemed to learn from that mistake. You see, we play as Michael in Sister Location. If you manage to finish all of the custom night modes, you get one last cutscene.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now. But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you.
Let me explain the contents behind this cutscene, because unless you've played or seen a playthrough of the game, you won't be able to understand what's going on. Sometime before the game, William told his son, Michael, to find Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental to put her back together. That her probably refers to Circus Baby herself. When Michael finds the location, that's when the game starts. You are the maintenance worker, running the night shift. Your job is to make sure that not only are the animatronics functioning normally, but the building as a whole. Every night you are sent to different rooms to perform specific tasks that progressively get harder and darker with each night until night 5. On this night, you follow Circus Baby's instructions where she will eventually lead you to the scooping room. What is the scooping room? All of the Funtime animatronics have both an exoskeleton and an endoskeleton, and the scooper in the center of the room is used to haphazardly scoop out the endoskeleton. The scooper also has a different function, but that's not important right now. And as you can see, all of the animatronics have already been scooped. The endoskeletons have already fused themselves into one being named Enard, and you are the last piece they need in order to escape the underground facility they're trapped in. They use the scooper to scoop out your insides and use it as a flesh suit. But somehow, this doesn't kill Michael. Sister Location's Custom Night has different modes that you can play through, and at the end of each mode you get a small cutscene. It's Michael, walking down the street, seemingly alive and healthy. But then a day passes, and his complexion looks a little different than usual. Then another day passes, and another. And you quickly start to realize that his body is decaying, until...
You won't die. 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 You won't die.
Not only is Michael still alive somehow, but Ennard is free. Disturbing stuff. Anyway, let's fast forward to Pizzeria Simulator. Now, it's not really confirmed who we play as in that game, but if you manage to collect some familiar looking animatronics and avoid being killed by them every day, you get the true ending. In that ending, we get some dialogue from both Henry and Scrap Baby that heavily implies it's also Michael.
You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to.
And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be.
Side note, if you get jump scared by Scrap Chap, there's a chance he'll say these lines of dialogue, which also support this theory.
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me. Bittersweet, but fitting.
So, yeah, Michael messed up as a kid, which cost his brother's life. And when he got older, he made the stupid mistake of following his father's orders to free Ennard inadvertently. But, even after all of his organs were scooped out of him, he didn't die. He got back up, and he not only fixed his mistake, but he took his father down with him. It's sad and bittersweet, yet poetic in a way. Then Movie Michael came in and pissed all over it. I kind of get what they were going for, flipping the script from what usually happens. In both the games and the books, Elizabeth was the child who was willing to assist her father in order to impress him and gain his approval, like any child would do. Not only that, but she was intimidating and cunning at times. Movie Michael, on the other hand, wasn't either of those things at all. I actually thought he was kind of goofy, and his plan to free Charlie and kill hundreds of people didn't make sense to me. Like, for Circus Baby and the Fun Times, cool band name by the way, it made sense because they were literally built to kill people, but the toys weren't. How is this supposed to continue your father's legacy? William didn't just senselessly slaughter people. His killings were planned and methodical. How do you think he never got caught? But anyways, I'm ranting. All of this to say that Movie Michael sucks and I hate him.
Abby, you've been a very, very bad girl.
Funnily enough, something like this happened in the books, and yes, it's just as goofy. Especially since they're not tearing up the toys, but instead monsters that look like this. Well, actually they look more like this, but it's complicated. The book series is its own can of worms. Anyways, instead of dying, they just f*** off, I think. And we end the movie with the Living Tombstone's second FNAF song, It's Been So Long. Arguably better than their first, but just as catchy.
Why do we have to do this in the rain?
Because this whole place is getting demolished tomorrow. We gotta grab everything we can while it's still here.
Why couldn't we just make the props for the haunted house?
Come on, they want the authentic thing. The authentic Fazbear experience. You can't replicate that. Just try looking around. Anything that might trigger a little bit of nostalgia.
Ethan! Where are you? You got something?
Yes, Ethan.
Okay. You got something?
Yeah, I think I found one. I think I found a real one.
How is it still here? It smells terrible. Yeah, we gotta take this with us. Let's see, Patrick, cover it. Let's get the Dobby. Cover it, will you?
You guys, wait up!
There's Springtrap, the one and only animatronic in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. The third game is, as you expect, set in a haunted house based on the pizzeria and the horrible things that happened in it, which we can glean from the newspaper at the beginning of the game, as well as a different phone guy's messages on the first and second night.
So, let me just update you real quick, then you can get to work. Like, the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. When the place opens, people will come in at the opposite end of the building and work their way toward you, then past you, and out the exit. Now let me tell you about what's new. We found another set of drawings, always nice, and a foxy head, which we think could be authentic. Then again, it might just be another crappy cosplay. And we found a desk fan, very old school, metal though. So watch the fingers. We're trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So we're gonna take a peek and see what we can find. But I have an even better surprise for you. You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one. Gotta go, man. Well look, it's in there somewhere. I'm sure you'll see it.
Kind of in poor taste, because in the FNAF universe, real children actually die, but whatever makes money, I guess. No fake out ending this time. Let's skip to the after credits.
Leaving Dead Space. 3, 2, 1. This message is intended as a warning. Mike, I wish we'd had more time after our conversation about Charlotte, but I'm sending you this message now in case I can't deliver it in person. There are things you need to be aware of. I was William Afton's business partner for many years, and although the equipment I have left over from that time is outdated, I can still track some of the animatronics. Mike, the marionette... Mike, get out as fast as you can. She's coming for you.
Not much I can add to this because Henry is reiterating points we already know, other than the fact that the tape recording is obviously a nod to how Henry mainly communicated with you in Pizzeria Simulator, through tapes and other audio devices.
Begin tape. Leaving Dead Space. 3, 2, 1. The purpose of this tape is to test automated response times and reactions from vintage interactive attractions following audio stimuli.
What's strange is that this audio implies that Charlie attacked her own father, but this did not happen in the games. I guess her anger ran so deep that not even her own father was safe from her wrath. Regardless, that is the end of the movie and the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that, regardless of what you think about the movie, you enjoyed going through this with me and that my video helped you understand it a little better. If so, if not, or if you want to talk about something I missed, feel free to do so in the comments. If you're new to my channel, you should know that this isn't my usual style of content. I post mainly animations and art related videos, but when the next movie comes out, I'll be sure to cover it too. Let's just hope it's better than this one. Good night.